Today is Wednesday, May 22nd, and I'm just wondering if you'd like to hear some doozy stories from sports history celebrating their anniversaries these days.
And now, a word from our title sponsor.
Are all financial advisors fiduciaries? Fewer than you think. Not knowing could reduce your lifestyle. Hi, I'm Mitch Kramer, founder and CEO of Fluent Financial. A fiduciary is a regulatory term to reduce conflicts of interest in wealth management. A fiduciary always works in your best interest. A non-fiduciary advisor might put their compensation or company ahead of yours. At Fluent Financial, we are certified financial planners acting as fiduciary advisors. To learn more, go to fluentfinancial.com or Fluent Financial's YouTube channel.
There's been a significant development in your laundry room. Laundry detergent sheets, not dryer sheets, but the same concept. Paper thin, remarkably efficient. Just toss one into your load of clothes and voila! Sparkling clean and smelling great. And as a plus, they're hypoallergenic for those with sensitive skin. Jugs of detergent. Jugs that just wind up in trash heaps. It's easy to get your laundry detergent sheets. Just go to the link in today's podcast episode.
Introducing Star Power Smart Home Solutions, where cutting-edge technology meets effortless living. Control your entire home with just a tap on your smartphone. Adjust the lights, set the perfect temperature, and ensure your home is secure, all from the palm of your hand. Star Power has the experts that will transform your house into a secure, smart home. Experience the ultimate solution in comfort and security for your family. Get started at GetStarPower.com. Star Power, where innovation meets home.
Here we go with some incredible sports notes from deep in sports history. On May 10th, 1909, that's 115 years ago, things were different in baseball back then. You know how they are now? Starting pitchers labor to pitch 5 innings, and some of them don't get there. We almost never get a complete game, and we've got bullpen games. That's when 6 guys from the bullpen try to compile 9 innings. Well, it didn't used to be like that. On this date in 1909, Fred Toney, pitching for Winchester of the Bluegrass League, he was in the minors then, sets a minor league all-time record for throwing the longest no-hitter in the history of the minor leagues. And by the way, this still stands. He went 17 innings without allowing a hit against Lexington before his team pushed over a run to make him a 1-0 winner. 8 years later, Toney will become famous for being part of another extraordinary pitcher's duel. He was starting for the Reds, and Hippo Vaughn was starting for the Cubs. What's happened to wonderful nicknames like Hippo? Anyway, Fred Toney and Hippo hook up, and they throw matching no-hitters for 9 innings. Before in the 10th, Toney's Reds teammates push across a run to again make him a 1-0 winner. Next, 105 years ago, it's May 10th, 1919. No horse had ever swept the top 3 races for 3-year-olds in the history of horse racing: the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont. Until, on this date, Sir Barton began that journey by winning the Kentucky Derby. This was a shocking win in the Derby. Why shocking? Because Sir Barton had never won a race before winning the Kentucky Derby. Sir Barton had been entered 6 times in his life, had 1 second, and 5 other finishes 4th or worse. And yet, he reels off the Triple Crown. It's like a light went on. And when he was 3 years old, he would go on to win 7 stakes races in this year, including the Triple Crown. And then next year, as a 4-year-old, he'd win 5 more stakes races. He'd be remembered as one of the great race horses in America. And he became the first and remains the only Kentucky Derby winner to then go to stud and sire a Kentucky Derby winner when his son, Sir Omaha, won the Derby 5 years later. Next, it's 71 years ago, May 10th. It's almost cruel to tell you this story. Frank Verdi had labored 7 years in minor league baseball, just hoping to get to the show, hoping to make it in the big leagues. Yes, he was a spare part player, but getting to the major leagues is an accomplishment. And it happened on this date. Verdi had been called up as a spare part for the Yankees, and late in the game, inserted in the game. When he came to bat, it would be his first at bat in the major leagues ever. How many years had he waited for this moment? But at that point, the opposing pitcher called timeout. The opposing manager called timeout and decided to change pitchers. At that point, Verdi's Yankee manager, Casey Stengel, decided to pinch hit for Verdi, sending Bill Renna up to the plate instead. A few days later, Frank Verdi gets shipped back to the minor leagues, never to return for the major leagues again. That was his one at bat in the major leagues, an at bat in which he never saw a pitch. Next, this is only 74 years ago. Can you believe there was once a color line in bowling? Yes, baseball broke its color line by asking Jackie Robinson in. Football signed Kenny Rogers. The NBA threw open its doors to blacks. And finally, today, May 12th, 1950, bowling gives up its trend of not allowing blacks to compete, striking a 34-year-old rule that restricted memberships in professional bowling to white males only. In other words, for all those years, the only thing that was allowed to be black was the bowling ball. Next, to May 18th, 1882. Yes, 142 years ago. Louisville's handsome, mustachioed Tony Mullane was getting hammered in the early going against Baltimore. And he was a really, really good pitcher. And after 3 innings of having a really tough time, the ambidextrous Mullane decides he'll start pitching left-handed to left-handed hitters and right-handed to right-handed hitters. And you know what? The trick works. He starts getting people out, but he'd already given up too much. And his teammates rally, but he still loses the game by 1 run. And he wouldn't lose often in those years. Starting with this season, Mullane rang up 188 pitching wins in 6 seasons. Yikes! That's a fantastic career these days. And there's one other thing about Tony Mullane you should understand. He was good looking, man. And he was, as they'd call him now, a playa, but back then, a ladies' man. In fact, so much so that Louisville becomes the first baseball team to have ladies' days at the ballpark. And finally, it's the 21st of May. Yes, yesterday, 72 years ago, yesterday. What a nightmare for Cincinnati starting pitcher Ewell the Whip Blackwell. He was really a good pitcher. But on this particular afternoon in Brooklyn, Ewell just didn't have it. He got a man out, but that would be the only out he would get in the first inning. And Blackwell, struggling mightily, was finally removed from the game, only one out deep in the first inning. He goes straight into the locker room, very quickly showers, then goes back to the team hotel. Once he gets there, he flips on the radio and is shocked to learn that Brooklyn is still batting in the first inning. 3 of his Reds teammates coming out of the bullpen have been unable to stop the Tide, and Brooklyn will push across a still standing Major League record of 15 runs in the first inning.
Today's episode brought to you by Fluent Financial, Retire Sooner, Better Lifestyle, and by Star Power, Love Where You Live.
Just Wondering is a production of DSP Media for FanStream Sports. You can find Norm's show along with other great programming at fanstreamsports.com.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, hit follow. And every weekday, a fresh new episode of Just Wondering will be delivered right to you. And if you enjoy this podcast, please share it with a friend. Finally, should you have questions or comments, please share them with us by going to X and our address at Norm's Clubhouse. That's Just Wondering with Norm Hitzges. And every day, I'll be just wondering about something.
And I'm Mary Hitchkus, and I'm just wondering too.